Hey there Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. And if you are new here, my name is Hannah. I am an astrologer and I make videos all about astrology. Okay, so in today's video we're going to be discussing Black Moon Lilith in the signs Libra through to Pisces. And in part 1 you can find Black Moon Lilith in signs Aries through to Virgo. I will link that video down below. And also be sure to watch the introduction video, because there I talk about the mythology of Lilith as well as its function within your chart. But before we do dive into today's video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button and click the bell. And if you're interested in a personal reading from myself, you can visit my website, hannahselsewhere.com. There you can find my practical astrology ebooks and merch. All the links will be in the description box below. Alright, so I do hope that you find this video to be helpful. Let's do this. Also, to clarify a few things just regarding the many Liliths, because there is also a true Lilith, an Asteroid Lilith, and a Waldemath Lilith. I mentioned these things in the introduction video. So again, I'll give all that information on how to find them below, and again, make sure that you watch the introduction video. So the Black Moon Lilith / the Mean Lilith, the one we're talking about today, as well as the true Lilith, they are both points. Black Moon Lilith represents the average orbit of the Black Moon, and then true Lilith represents the actual orbit of the Black Moon. There are debates within the astrological community over which one to use, over which one is more valid, but perhaps both can be nifty to look at. Of course, I'm focusing on the Black Moon / the Mean Lilith today, but feel free to find your true Lilith as well and see how it resonates. Now, the Mean and true Liliths, they have a 9-year orbit, and so they stay in one sign for about 9 months. Then the asteroid Lilith is a physical object, and it's found on the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. It was discovered in 1927 and was named after the French classical composer Lily Boulanger, probably pronouncing that incorrectly. And this Lilith is said to fight for freedom and justice. It takes asteroid Lilith about 4 years to orbit the sun. But then lastly, looking at the Waldemath / the Dark Moon Lilith, this one may or may not exist. And in 1918, astrologer Walter Gornold claimed to have confirmed its existence. Again, probably not pronouncing these names correctly. Though the most interesting thing I found about this particular Lilith is that it takes 119 days for it to travel around the Earth. And so it stays in one sign for 10 days, just 10 days. And I read online people referring to this as if this Lilith were a witch flying on a broomstick, which I thought was really cool. Alright, so let's get into these signs, which, by the way, you're looking for this glyph in your natal chart. You need to select Lilith from the additional objects section on astro.com, and of course I will provide those other codes to the other Liliths below. Alright, so Lilith in Libra. When you feel as if you're being overpowered or rejected by others, you will most likely be passive aggressive, or you might set out to make sure that justice is served. You set out to restore balance. So if someone does something horrible on you, you may quite literally do the same in return. Still, looking at the passive aggressive stuff, you might feel resentful towards someone for what they did, for how they treated you. But instead of being direct about your feelings of dissatisfaction, perhaps your feelings come out in other ways. in subtle ways, yes, but still in hurtful ways. Still with the intention of getting back at the other person. Perhaps you want others to feel the same way they have made you feel, or they make you feel. You might also act as if you don't need other people's approval when really you're crying out for it underneath. You just don't want them to know that. Still, there can be this tit for tat dynamic that goes on within your relationships. So if someone rejects you, you'll reject them. Or if someone is upset because you rejected them, you'll remind them of the time they rejected you. And so in this way, you can be quite tactful and uncooperative. And if someone tries to manipulate you, shame you, or put you down, again, perhaps you'll remind them of themselves. In this way, you can deflect anything bad or horrible just away from you and onto others. Then again, perhaps you decide to explore other options out there. This could look like you making new friends or being with someone else, maybe out of spite, or maybe you become highly insincere towards the person who tried to shame you. You no longer want to play nice or fairly. Now, on the other hand, perhaps it's your anger that is a response to pain. So let's explore this. Could it be that growing up you were rejected when you needed others? Maybe you were ridiculed for not being independent enough. You were made to feel bad about yourself for wanting to depend on another. Now keep in mind that there is a level of dependency needed within our relationships. Dependency can establish trust, for example. Still, perhaps you were put down for this. Or maybe others were not there for you when you needed them the most. They turned their back on you. Then again, perhaps you experienced a terrible breakup from a lover or from friends. You were abandoned. Or maybe others haven't wanted to get along with you when you desperately wanted to get along. Still, regardless of your personal experience, perhaps you subconsciously learned to bury your desire to cooperate and get feedback from others. You buried healthy ways of behaving within your relationships and your partnerships. So looking at the back and forth process, the give and take. But by integrating these parts of yourself, you can be fair and cooperative. You can show sincerity and you can be a great team player. Perhaps integrating your Black Moon Lilith can lead to greater harmony and companionship and fairness. You'll be more sharing and exchanging, and it's these things that can empower you. Lilith in Scorpio. When you feel as if you're being overpowered or rejected by others, you will most likely be very angry and rageful. I sort of imagine this placement as the representation of how Lilith herself reacted when Adam rejected her. Intense and explosive, but at the same time, getting the hell out of there to focus on herself. This refusal to be around Adam or to comply with God, and at the same time plotting her revenge. And moody. Very, very moody. Feeling everything, but it's anger that comes out. It's fury. There's this pushback and there's this destructiveness as well. Of course, this can be one of the few or many expressions of this energy, but then perhaps another expression is a situation where you keep everything in, okay? You bury other people's rejections deep down within yourself. You stuff them down whilst refusing to let anybody else know how much they've hurt you, how much you're hurting. You'll brood over the situation, or you'll have all of these darker thoughts. But as you're carrying all that emotional intensity within yourself, you're actually harming yourself. Without any release, you can suffer from health issues, for example. And so you can be self-destructive, and not letting others in can be very isolating as well. It can be a very isolating place. Naturally, there is this ability to transform and to change. And with this, you need trust and you need respect. But if you feel as if you can't trust anybody, you can be super secretive and resentful also, and possibly here vindictive. You might not be the type of person who actively sets out to get your revenge. Perhaps you let fate decide. You think they'll get what's coming to them someday. Just wait. And so in this way, you can be quite unshockable and tenacious. Also, if someone tries to manipulate you, shame you, or put you down, you'll see right through them. You can be very intuitive and you can pick up on other people's intentions very quickly. You pick up on their dark side in a heartbeat. Moreover, you can behave in hot and cold ways towards your partners, towards family who upset you. So you might blow up in their face, but then you might love them passionately and never want to let go. Though on the other hand, perhaps it's your intense reactions that are a response to pain. So let's explore. Could it be that growing up, you were demonized for feeling a certain way about someone or something, especially looking at your SEXUAL feelings? Could it be that certain SEXUAL feelings were viewed as wrong? Or maybe you were dominated or controlled in some way, possibly ABUSED. Perhaps you had to defend yourself against people who bullied you or hurt your feelings. They hurt you deeply. It could be that you were forced to keep secrets for others. You were not allowed to expose people for who they were underneath. Still, regardless of your personal experience, maybe you subconsciously learned to bury your intense feelings and emotions. You buried healthy ways of exploring your SEXUALITY, as well as burying any hidden subject interest, such as exploring the occult or the paranormal or looking at taboo-like subjects. But by integrating these parts of yourself, you can be a mighty healer, you can be perceptive and compassionate, and you can bring what's in the darkness, you can bring it to light. Perhaps integrating your Black Moon Lilith can lead to greater investigation, intimacy, and personal power. You'll be more transformative and incisive, and it's these things that can empower you. Lilith in Sagittarius. When you feel as if you're being overpowered or rejected by others, you will most likely get the hell out of there, because there is no way you are waiting around for someone else to control you or manipulate you. Any type of restrictions or limitations can make you feel nervous and restless. Then again, perhaps there can be times when you are argumentative, times when you argue your point and you refuse to back down. This part of you that stands for justice and doing what is right in your eyes. And so you will preach and preach and preach until you have no voice left. But sometimes it can feel as if you're beating a dead horse. And if this happens, you run off and reclaim your freedom. You might get revenge by doing the unthinkable or by removing any benefits you give to the other person. Perhaps you react to someone overpowering you quite angrily and you go wild. You lose all common sense and reason. And in some cases, perhaps there is no point in debating with the other person. You're up and you're out of there, and you'll be very honest about your next step. You might even make a mockery out of the other person, really make them feel like they're an idiot or just rub their face in it. And so in this way, you can be quite self-righteous and frank. Yeah, if someone tries to manipulate you, shame you, or put you down, you'll treat them with such disrespect. You'll openly express how ashamed you are of them or how disappointed you are. You'll make them aware of their immoral behaviors and you'll say everything you need to say. So no holding back here. Now, at the same time, perhaps you talk things out or you learn something from that experience. But once someone has crossed the line with you, that's it. You can't unsee it. You can't go back. Though, of course, on the other hand, perhaps it's your anger that is a response to pain. So let's explore this a little bit. Could it be that growing up, you were ridiculed for exploring unfamiliar territories? Maybe branching out was strongly frowned upon, or wanting to grow and expand was seen as wrong. Perhaps you were raised viewing the world in a certain way, you had a particular belief system that you believed in, but you couldn't question it or decide for yourself. You couldn't be curious about other forms, other types of religion, for example. It could be that there was or still is this part of you that is screaming out for freedom, but you fear that you'll be pulled back in. Still, regardless of your personal experience, maybe you subconsciously learn to bury your ability to expand and grow and be free. You buried healthy ways of exploring other types of life or other ways of life, other cultures, other teachings, other forms of guidance. But by integrating these parts of yourself, you can be generous and optimistic, you can discover more about the world, and you can inspire others with your wisdom. Perhaps integrating your Black Moon Lilith can lead to greater visions, eagerness, and imagination. You'll be more positive and uplifting, and it's these things that can empower you. Lilith in Capricorn. When you feel as if you're being overpowered or rejected by others, you will most likely act very cold and distant. There's no way you'll put up with others trying to dominate or control you. And you might not let them know that you're upset with them either, because perhaps you think to yourself, why waste my energy on them? Especially if others don't know how to take responsibility for their actions. You strongly dislike people like that. Then again, you might even indulge in some power play where it turns into this, I'll show you that I'm more wealthy, I'm more successful, I'm more accomplished. Yeah, if others can't live up to your expectations, then perhaps you rethink the validity of that relationship. You might not even waste your time trying to get revenge on them either. Perhaps your hard work and your dedication will speak for themselves. It's this whole attitude of money talks. And so in this way, you can be quite unforgiving and dominant. On the other hand here, perhaps you're someone who doesn't care about showcasing your wealth or recognition to the world. You know you're a success and you don't feel the need to show others. Perhaps you move in silence, okay? And you move in silence for a long time, and then years down the line, you are rewarded. Or it could be that you possess fears even regarding things like success and recognition. Also, if someone tries to manipulate you or shame you or put you down, again, you can be unforgiving. You might cut the other person to shreds or decide to remove them from your life completely. You know what you expect of yourself, and so you know what you expect of others. And so perhaps there's a part of you that wants others to get in line with what you expect from them. You can act like this parental figure towards others, like a member of authority. And you can lack the emotional connection too at times. So in this respect, perhaps you can be ruthless. Though on the other hand, perhaps it's your anger that is a response to pain. So let's explore. Could it be that growing up, your accomplishments were not recognized? Maybe committing to something or someone was seen as a negative thing, or perhaps wanting to be successful was seen as a super egotistical thing, or maybe you were put down for wanting to succeed. Then again, it could be that you lacked a father figure, or he lacked a fatherly role. Maybe he was absent because he was struggling with his own stuff. And maybe it's that in your eyes, he failed to be a parent. Still, it could be that there was a lack of recognition there, as well as a lack of respect. Maybe you fear being seen as a failure, or you possess these high expectations of yourself. You might have been even forced to grow up and mature and to be an adult far too soon. Still, regardless of your personal experience, maybe you subconsciously learn to bury your ability to recognize when you've achieved something or when you've worked really, really hard on something. You buried healthy ways of being responsible and structured and accomplished. After all, you can be demanding when it comes to things like order and organization, but by integrating these parts of yourself, you can become a pro at whatever you commit to. You can learn to not be so critical of yourself, and you can have a healthy sense of what it means to be an adult. Perhaps integrating your Black Moon Lilith can lead to greater respect and integrity and discipline. You'll be so much more constructive and patient. And it's these things that can empower you. Lilith in Aquarius. Aquarius, when you feel as if you're being overpowered or rejected by others, you will most likely detach and detach hard. So you'll refuse to engage, you'll not show any emotion, even though you're feeling all types of ways on the inside. Though your face will most likely clearly show how pissed off you are, you'll not give the other person any of your attention either. It's like they are invisible to you and you couldn't give two FUCKs about them. You might even feel like removing them from your life altogether, or you might contemplate it. So just suddenly deciding, you know what, I don't want them to be in my life anymore. I don't want to be around these people anymore. I no longer want to be friends with this person, or I don't need these idiots in my life anymore. These sheeple who are influenced far too easily by others. And the level of cold you display will just be something else. You'll come across as extremely uncaring and extremely unfeeling. Oh, and you'll probably be really rude. You'll say things with zero tact, and any courtesy you once showed that person, gone. All gone. You will no longer be thoughtful towards them. You won't want to cooperate. You'll be highly disagreeable, and you might also be highly disruptive. In this way, you can be dismissive and erratic. You can also be rebellious, where you rebel against anyone who tries to order you around in a controlling or manipulative way. And if someone tries to manipulate you, or if they try to put you down, you'll be very, very strong-minded and opinionated. You won't let them get away with it, okay? You're not going to let them get away with disrespect towards you. And if you have an opinion to add, you'll say it with conviction. You'll stand firm in your position. You'll remind that person or those people that you have strength in your beliefs and you won't tolerate any type of unfairness or inequality towards you. You might actually surprise others with how quickly you can go from being super, super interested and super engaged in what they have to say to then thinking to yourself, you know what this person is saying is just so beneath me. It's ridiculous. And when it comes to revenge, you might try to humiliate those who betray you in front of an audience, in front of a group. Or you might distance yourself from the person entirely and start aiming high in your life. So looking at your hopes and your wishes whilst moving the hell away from that person. You might try to accumulate fame or recognition as a way to say a big F you to the haters. Though on the other hand, perhaps it's your anger here that is a response to pain. So let's explore this. Could it be that growing up you were rejected anytime you tried to express your individuality? You were shunned and put down for having your own thoughts and your own opinions. Maybe you were made to feel like a freak or a weirdo, or maybe you felt like you couldn't fit in anywhere, not in your family or in your friendship groups, or in clubs at school. No group of people wanted you. Perhaps this resulted in you being an outcast whilst feeling highly insecure about your individuality. This part of you that is actually desperate to join in but is waiting to be pushed out once again. Still, regardless of your personal experience here, maybe you subconsciously learned to bury your uniqueness, bury your inventiveness. You buried healthy ways of joining in and coming together with others, hearing other people's opinions, and you also buried healthy ways of being an individual with your own mind. But by integrating these parts of yourself, you can be more confident. You can gladly engage with others without shutting down so much, and you can accept that others have a mind of their own too. Perhaps integrating your Black Moon Lilith can lead to greater cooperation and originality and friendship. You'll be much more caring and intriguing. And it's these things that can empower you. And lastly, Lilith in Pisces. When you feel as if you're being overpowered or rejected by others, you will most likely become very emotional and hypersensitive. You'll take everything super personally due to how deeply you are impacted. You might also feel confused about how to react, so over how you should react or about what to do next. Perhaps there is this part of you that wants to desperately just swim away from the situation and hide. But there is another part of you that wishes things could be different, this idealistic part of you. It's this whole attitude of, why is this person lacking such empathy? Why are they not trying to show compassion and kindness? Maybe you go through periods where you isolate yourself, or periods where you act delusional. You see what you want to see within the situation or person, or maybe you can pick up on the other person's subconscious or their vibes. It's as if you can sense when a rejection is coming. Though, in terms of revenge, well, it really depends on the situation and how you're feeling. So, for example, there can be times when you feel numb after a rejection, times when you want to explode, times when you cry and cry and cry and you can't stop crying. But then there can also be times when you blame yourself for anything, and so you feel deeply, deeply ashamed. It could be that during the times when you're ready to explode, you lash out, where you completely lose all self-control and you're thinking you're going to be sorry for what you did. And in this way, you can be quite temperamental and intuitive. And if someone tries to manipulate you, shame you, or put you down, you'll use the power of manipulation in return. You might see through the other person, or you might act all gullible when really you know what's going on. Then again, perhaps you make the other person see how unsympathetic they're being. You make them look at how they're trying to treat another person. You reflect back to them the part of them that is victimizing somebody else. Now, on the other hand, perhaps it's your anger that is a response to pain, okay? So let's explore. Could it be that growing up you were told that you were too sensitive or too emotional, or maybe people didn't really know how to deal with your emotions? Perhaps others saw you as crazy or as delusional, or maybe others never believed you. Or perhaps you were made to feel bad about your imagination and your feelings and your insight. Maybe you were looked at as having your head in the clouds too much. Others treated you like you were too dreamy and vague. Still, regardless of your personal experience, maybe you subconsciously learned to bury your many feelings and also your imagination. You buried healthy ways of exploring the fantasy world. You buried healthy ways of exploring your highly creative and artistic side. But by integrating these parts of yourself, you can be very caring and spiritual. You can embrace your creative and artistic side, and you can explore your many emotions. Perhaps integrating your Black Moon Lilith can lead to greater rhythm and intuition and compassion. You'll be more in tune with your dreams and your spirituality. And it's these things that can empower you. Alright, Cosmic Warriors, so that was Black Moon Lilith in signs Libra through to Pisces. And again, if you haven't seen part 1 where I talk about Black Moon Lilith in signs Aries through to Virgo, I will link that down below. But please do let me know if you find this video to be helpful. I would really appreciate that. And as always, let us know your thoughts and your opinions in the comment section down below. But with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And of course, if you would like to see more videos from myself and you have not yet subscribed, then make sure that you click that subscribe button and also give this video a like if you did like it today. And I will be back with another video very, very soon. Bye!